Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. The message I have for you today is a living Christ says, a sleeping giant is awakening, but he is still confused. Japanese Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto was said to have uttered the now famous comment soon after the attack on Pearl Harbor in World War II, but he said, "I fear that we have awakened a sleeping giant," and filled him with a terrible resolve. Since the U.S. government's killing of patriot protester Lavoy Finicum in eastern Oregon, once again the sleeping giant has been reawakened, and millions of armed American men and women have been aroused from their collective satanically induced slumber. But there remains still the aura of confusion as to what to do and how to resolve the present government tyranny that is systematically being imposed upon the American people by their satanic rulemakers, who have been responsible for every politically cataclysmic event ever to befall the American people and their failing American dream. The solution, of course, lies in spiritual balance. There can be no balance when one side of the dualistic relationship overshadows the other. When satanic rulemakers can make the rules and enforce them with license to kill enforcers, whom are held immune from prosecution, it is difficult to maintain balance. Without such a satanic edge, hell could not continue to exist. In that simple explanation lies the solution to transcending hell on earth. Let it begin here in America and here in Oregon. The Bundys and the peaceful protesters are now in jail. The crime? They attempted to hold their federal government accountable for following their own existing satanic law. The federal government does not own the land they are holding in trust for the states, the state of Oregon. They have no rights to sell such mining rights to foreign corporations for profit. Government plots have recently been uncovered of surreptitious corporate deals being struck with foreign governments for the natural resources of uranium and other valuable minerals that are found on the public lands and on the Hammond Ranch. These are lands that belong to the people, not to the federal government. But it requires tyrannical confiscation of such land and ranches that are being owned and occupied by the present owners. Fictitious federal agencies have been created for the enforcement of such fictitious policies, calling for heavy-handed enforcement tactics, as demonstrated in the present case, which has made a shambles of any reasonable and balanced and free system of living. Admiral Yamamoto's words were wise indeed, for he knew that they, the foreign aggressor, could not overcome a heavily armed public of an unorganized people capable of hiding behind every rock, every tree, every door, etc. For such actions would make a shambles of the organized warfare, where targets line up facing each other in targetable uniforms and seek to annihilate each other. That worn-out war tactic is just designed toward population control. It has seen its day, and it will not be repeated in the future. The present war now being waged is between the rule makers, the bureaucrats, their enforcers, and courts, which exist at every level of government: federal, state, county, and municipal, from Washington, D.C., on down to your local city council. And their target is clearly being defined as you, the American people. When the sleeping giant of the tax-paying public tire of financing their own annihilation by public employees whose salary they pay, when they finally catch on to such rulemakers, which make the rules for they, the taxpayers, to obey, which authorize the corporate killing of American people, such as yourselves, and yet makes crimes out of Americans who have the courage to stand apart from the vast herds of bleating sheeple and seek to exercise their God-given, unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. They have placed themselves in deadly peril and risked the same fate that befell that of Benito Mussolini, the Italian dictator, at the end of World War II. You see, even at their satanic worst, government understands that there is a greater authority than they, and they cannot find refuge from the divine retribution that awaits them. God, infinite intelligence, truth, does not tolerate satanic imbalance for very long. That is the nature of civilized life on Earth. It has always been that way, and shall continue to be so, until the satanic trance of hell has been broken, and the freedom of sovereignty and balance is restored with the second coming of Christ consciousness. With the voice of freedom ring loud and clear in every county, city, and town in America. Notice all culpable public officials, beginning with those who are the presidential candidates running for the top office of this land, but is merely a corporate structure. The congressmen, the senators, law enforcement, the courts, the judges, and the bureaucratic criminal conspirators who are responsible for the policies, the deadly policies of hell on earth. It's time for them to vacate their offices or face the imprisonment, or worse, at the hands of the sleeping public. That is how spiritual balance shall be restored. It will not happen with petitioning government. It is clear that doesn't work. It is time for the true government to make itself known, you, the sovereign people. And you instruct your government employees to either repent their past deeds or vacate their offices with no quarter given. It is that kind of decisiveness that is required to resolve the present tyranny that now affects each and every one of you, and will affect your families to come. If not now, when? Thank you for your time.